Wei Wuxian was choked. Under the quilt, something warm touched his hand. It was Lan Wangji's hand. Wei Wuxian was a little stunned for a moment. He hadn't felt such warmth for a long, long time. It had been a long time since someone had said to him, "I'm here." He suddenly felt that his eyes were a little sore, and then he realized that this was a sign of weakness, and cursed himself secretly. Even though he knew that no one could see it in the darkness, he blinked his eyes quickly to cover it up. However, he let Lan Wangji continue to hold his hand and did not run away. After a long while of silence, wondering if Lan Wangji had fallen asleep, Wei Wuxian suddenly whispered, "Lan Zhan, do you really like me?" It was clear that Lan Wangji had disliked him so much before, and hated him so much. Lan Wangji held his hand harder. His deep and firm voice sounded beside him. After all, Wei Wuxian was thick-skinned and had done a little bit of other things. Hearing Lan Wangji confess to him, he didn't feel anything ashamed, while asked more curiously, "When did it happen?" It would be a pity if it happened during the period of time that he had forgotten. Lan Wangji said, "Very early." Oh, Wei Wuxian did not continue to ask, because he already had the answer in his heart. The person who kissed him secretly in Baifeng Mountain was indeed Lan Wangji. Lan Zhan actually liked him so early. Till then, Wei Wuxian realized that he was a little embarrassed and a little bit happy. It turned out that the person, although he disliked him on the surface, actually liked him secretly. Just when he was feeling proud secretly, Lan Wangji, whom he thought wouldn't speak anymore, continued speaking suddenly. The words were like leaves falling from the branches to the water, creating ripples silently. He said slowly, "Perhaps, as early as when you came to cloud recesses to study." Wei Wuxian didn't know how to react at all. At this time, the quilt covering him moved. As soon as he raised his head, Lan Wangji had already grabbed his shoulder with one hand. With a little force, he made him lie down on his side, and then hugged him together with his sword. Wei Wuxian, Lan Zhan. Lan Wangji patted his back gently and said, "You said it was okay." Wei Wuxian suddenly realized that he might create trouble for himself. But even so, Wei Wuxian did not dodge or try to push Lan Wangji away. He put his head on Lan Wangji's chest, took 2 long, deep breaths, and then closed his eyes quietly. Wei Wuxian hadn't had a peaceful sleep for a long time. It was common for him to stay awake for several nights at the mass graves. These few days when he found himself in cloud recesses suddenly, it was inevitable that he would be a little startled, and he could not sleep at ease naturally. It was still dark when Wei Wuxian woke up again. As soon as he opened his eyes, he found that he was still in the same position when he fell asleep, being held in Lan Wangji's arms, and his head was rest in Lan Wangji's chest. As for Suibian, which was held tightly by him before, had rolled away to nowhere. Instead, both of his arms rested on Lan Wangji's body. As the saying went, what happened once came twice again. When Wei Wuxian fell asleep yesterday, he had guessed that it would be like this when he woke up. He didn't make a fuss. Instead, he stared at Lan Wangji's peaceful sleeping face with interest for a while. When Lan Wangji was awake, there was still a bit of coldness on the face caused by the color of the eyes. But now that he closed the eyes, all that was left was beauty and gentleness. That was the trace that time had left on him. Wei Wuxian leaned against Lan Wangji's chest. The body temperature belonging to another person was continuously transmitted to his body, making him feel particularly comfortable. He couldn't help but curl up the corners of his mouth and shrank even more into Lan Wangji's arms secretly. He thought his movements were very light, but as soon as he moved, Lan Wangji woke up immediately. The moment their eyesight met, Wei Wuxian still wanted to take his head back instinctively. But Lan Wangji, although he had just woken up, reacted faster than him. Wei Wuxian had just stepped back a little when a hand came to the back of his head, pushing him back gently and decisively. Wei Wuxian bumped the tip of his nose against Lan Wangji's chest. Lan Wangji patted his back and said, "It's still early. Have more sleep." Wei Wuxian pressed his chest, snorted unhappily and said, "Lan Zhan, you think you're coaxing a kid?" As he said this, he lay down more comfortably. Wei Wuxian understood what Lan Jingyi said finally. Amnesia is not necessarily a bad thing. To him, it was as if all the troubles had been solved when he woke up. There were no disgusting corpses screaming around him. There was no blood in the air, and there was no strong smell of earth. There was Suibian around him, and there was Lan Wangji, who cared about him so much. Was there anything more wonderful than this? No wonder the teenagers said they had never seen him play the flute to drive the corpses. The more Wei Wuxian thought about it, the happier he felt. And he couldn't help but hug Lan Wangji tighter. Lan Wangji's deep voice was accompanied by steady vibrations in his chest. He asked, "What's wrong?" Wei Wuxian raised his eyebrows and got up from Lan Wangji with a few efforts. He liked this condescending posture. He bent down and lifted Lan Wangji's chin with his index finger. He smiled evilly and said, "Han Guangjun, do you want to hug me?" "Huh?" Lan Wangji still had one of his hands on his waist. He looked at him without blinking and dodging and said, "Want?" Wei Wuxian's eyebrows twitched. Facing Lan Wangji, who was so frank, he didn't know how to react. When he hesitated, Lan Wangji had already pressed him down again and pressed him back onto his chest. Wei Wuxian, with a slight blush on his face, tugged at Lan Wangji's underwear to take revenge, hoping to make him shy. The snow-white collar had long been messed up by him at night. With a slight pull, the delicate collarbone and a large area of fair skin underneath were revealed. Wei Wuxian was planning to compete with Lan Wangji to see who was thicker-skinned, but unexpectedly, he saw that there seemed to be a scar on Lan Wangji's chest. He was slightly startled, but Lan Wangji had already zipped up his clothes quickly. The characteristic of the brand scar was so obvious that Wei Wuxian could see them clearly at just one glance. It was clearly on Lan Wangji, but he raised his hand and touched his chest. But at this time it was clean, and there was nothing there. After a moment of silence, Wei Wuxian asked, "What's going on? Does it have anything to do with me?" Lan Wangji didn't avoid it, but he didn't want to say more obviously. He just said, "Since it happened before, why bother mentioning it again? You will remember it anyway." His words stopped Wei Wuxian from even being able to ask further questions. After struggling for a long time, he could only pat the scar twice through the clothes gently, just to comfort it. He thought, "I must be involved." To actually cause Lan Zhan to suffer such an injury, it seemed that he must have made great trouble before. The group did not stay outside longer and returned to cloud recesses soon. After that, Wei Wuxian kept his arms around Subian every day. He practiced martial arts and swordsmanship with a group of teenagers from the Lan family during the day. On the one hand, it paid for his rent and food while living in cloud recesses, and he himself enjoyed it deeply. Because the golden core had not yet been completed, his spiritual power was limited after all. When the last bit of spiritual power was exhausted, he stayed in the silence room and painted some talismans. If he had nothing to do, he just wandered around, read storybooks, and ate snacks. He lived a very comfortable and leisure life. The only problem was that his memory didn't seem to be recovering at all.